So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your answers in the survey. And yeah, thank you for taking time out of your day today. And thank you especially for your dedication to combining children with permaculture. I think it's a really important time to be doing so. And it has huge benefits for the children and also hopefully the planet in the future. So it's really important work. And I'm super excited to have this opportunity to create this group with you guys. So thank you, Marek, again for this chance. So I'm just going to start with a quick introduction and introduce myself. So my permaculture journey started in 2015. I was doing some volunteering in South America, and then I ended up in Portland, Oregon, which is actually a huge hub for permaculture. And then I ended up doing 2 PDCs there, and also another course, which was like advanced tools for climate resilience in regards to permaculture, which was a really interesting look at like climate resilience for the future. Then I also worked at the Portland Montessori School in Oregon for 5 years, and I was the school garden coordinator there. So I created 4 different school gardens, one of them being a large edible permaculture garden, and I have a few photos to show in a minute. And then I also created a curriculum where I combined permaculture and Montessori because I saw lots of similarities between the two. And now I'm actually in Austria doing the Montessori teacher training online and working at a Montessori school in Vienna. I've also done a forest education course. I did a cob building course in Portugal last summer. And then I've done a teacher training with Warren Brush and co-taught with him twice in Germany. I graduated from this Permaculture Education Institute program in the summer. And through the program, I created something called Earth Keepers Camps, which is bringing permaculture to children through day camps and also week-long camps. So I did a week-long camp in Germany, one in Hungary through a green school that just started. The lady was actually a participant from the teacher training that I did. And then I did a couple of days in Portugal, and I'm going to be doing it in Austria and in Germany, continuing it in the summer next year. And I'm always looking for locations and hosts and collaborators on that. So that's something I'll mention about a little bit later as well. So yeah, this is just, the picture tells 1,000 words, as we all know. So I just wanted to show a few pictures of the school garden that I created in Oregon. So the picture up on the top left is the first year, and then just grew and grew. And we had like a snack track, so edible herbs and berries, and then a vegetable garden, and like an edible fence with espalier apple trees, and then also like a very small scale food forest with 4 different fruit trees and just the accompanying guilds. Yeah, exactly. So this was my outdoor classroom. So I took children out. I worked with 3 to 12-year-olds, and introduced them to the wonders of the natural world, and then also had practical examples for the permaculture teachings that I shared with them. And also a lot of the food that we grew went into the daily snack. And then this was a camp that I did in Hungary in April. The Earth Keepers camp, and yeah, it was a school. I think it was like 20-30 kids, and we created a hugelkultur. We did a garden bed. We did the guilds as well. This picture on the bottom is me teaching the web of life, a really great activity about the interconnectedness of things. Then the photo on the left is a forest education activity of like being blindfolded and being led to a tree. So I like to really incorporate different elements of nature teaching into my courses. And then also at the end of we did a feast, which you see on the right, sorry. And then we also did presentations. The children did presentations like posters and a skit. And one group even created a rap song in Hungarian, which was pretty cool to see. And then this was the camp I did in Germany. Just wanted to show this one photo because this was their presentation at the end of the week for the parents. Because for me, it's really important that there's an overlap between what they're learning in the camp and also that they can take it home. because, you know, like that's where the most impact is going to be, if the parents also kind of understand a little bit about permaculture. So I create these events at the end, like it's like a ceremony at the end of the camp to invite the parents. And they actually these children decided to do a skit on a guild. So each child here is a different plant in a mulberry tree guild, which was really cool to see. It's like my favorite teaching, so I'm really glad that it resonated with them. And yeah, we had the flowers and the pollinators and the climbing plant and stuff. It was really sweet, and they got all dressed up. Yeah, so that's my introduction. I'd like to open up the space for you guys to just introduce yourself. I've already seen your surveys answers, and it's been really great to get to know a little bit about you and your answers through that, but I'd love to put a face to those names and also have you guys introduce yourself. So feel free to answer any or all of the questions on the screen, and maybe people can raise their hand, right? And then Morag, do you mind muting them, or you can mute yourself? Thank you. Is anyone who would like to go first? Okay, thank you. Hi.
Am I first? So, hi.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Chiara. I'm Italian, but I live in Portugal. We've been living here with my family for about 1.5 years. We moved a lot before settling here. My experience with children is simply being a mother. And I have 2 children. They're small, they're 1.5 and almost 4. We moved to Portugal also because of them. We have a small piece of land that we would like to dedicate to permaculture. I am really in the beginning of the course. I enrolled already 1.5 years ago, but I was pregnant by then, and then baby came and there was no time for anything else. And now I'm kind of gathering some time to restart. And I think this group is a great opportunity for me to start also with them, to how to get them involved into this process, to learn skills, to meet people that have similar interests, and to form a group or a community, although spread. So thank you for this opportunity.
All right, thank you. Flo, do you want to go next? Yeah, great.
Yeah. Hi, what's Hoga culture? Is that how you say it? Hoga culture?
A Hugo culture.
That's it.
Yeah, it's a type of bed, and basically it copies the pattern found in a
I know what
wood,
it is.
and
Yes.
it's like the raised bed with the logs. It was actually created in Austria by a guy called Sepp Holzer. Yeah.
It's when you read it differently, because I found this, a lot of things. Yeah, I lived overseas, and I found that every time you read something, it's completely different to what it says. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you want to? I already explained a bit about me. I work with children. I just today went to the library. Today is International Day for people with need mental health, sort of thing, and they were doing love hearts at the library today. So it was really good to talk to other parents and discuss things today. So yeah, I did reading with children today as well. So I do things just about every day with children, and it's interesting that every day it's something different. And I try and bring some of I'm trying to get into the school to bring some permaculture into it. So it looks like I might be starting something soon with that, so which is good.
Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. Great. Thank you. Good to meet you. Thanks, Flo.
You too.
So Fleur, would you mind unraising your hand, and then Paige, perhaps well, maybe I don't actually see her, so maybe somebody else. Joanna?
Sure.
Great,
Hi.
hello. Hi.
Everybody else. I'm all right. I've been doing the program for 10 months and I'm still fairly early on, I think about module 8, although I've jumped around a bit, jumped ahead a bit in a few cases. I have 2 small children, so I work with them in the garden, and I've got some experience in childcare, working in childcare centres in the mainstream system, so not in a permaculture or nature-based context yet, although I hope to in time. I'm interested in this group because, yeah, it's nice to have a community of like-minded people who have this specific interest. And I'm still working out how exactly I would bring child care and permaculture together. So it's always good to be exposed to other people's ideas and what they're doing. Yeah, I'm not sure about specific topics yet, but it is great to see, for example, what you've done, Ange, with nature camps. I find that really interesting. And right down to the detail for me of particular planning processes for working with children, and books that work well, resources that work well. Yeah, it'd be great to hear what others have done and are hoping to do. So thanks for setting it up. It's great.
Great, thank you, Joanna. Okay, so if you unraise your hand, and then Emma, I would suggest you go next. Thank you.
Hi, I hope you can hear me all right. My connection can be a bit staticky sometimes, but I am based in Australia, New South Wales and the mid-north coast, in a really kind of small town about 40 minutes away from our biggest city of Port Macquarie. I have been doing the program, I think, since about 2018, but I've kind of only just revisited and finished my PDC, and in the interim I was actually teaching primary school students in a Steiner school in Port Macquarie, which kind of it was I was probably teaching permaculture there, but I wasn't thinking of it in that mind frame at the time. And I guess I've worked with children for probably 20 years and hadn't really thought about making that my kind of key thing with permaculture, because I wanted to kind of grow and be a little bit maybe more, put myself out there a bit more and try and work with adults. But I feel like this group will be a really good opportunity because I guess having worked with children for a long time, it's a bit of a strength area, and maybe something that might be more important to me, being able to build my confidence working with adults. And I'm just really interested to hear and see what everybody else is doing and how they're bringing that through. So yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Thank you. Marie, would you like to go next, Marie?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So my name is Marie and I'm currently in Abu Dhabi in the UAE, but Australian born, and I've been here now for just over 7 years. I'm a teacher by background. I taught in Australia for about nearly 13 years. And then we made the move over here to the UAE, and my boys were quite small then, so I didn't go into full-time teaching. And it was really nice to have a bit of a break because my husband was fly in, fly out in the mines in Australia for a few years before that. So I kind of just sat and enjoyed the expat life here for a little while, and then kind of thought, well, what do I really want to do? And I didn't really want to go into the demands of teaching again, just regular classroom teaching. So I kind of just sort of, I guess, put the feelers out for, you know, what I did actually, you know, what I enjoy and what I could perhaps volunteer with. And I ended up falling into a volunteering, which then turned into a paid position, teaching edible gardening in schools in Dubai, well, promoting really, because it was only a very new startup position. And so my job really was to go out and just encourage schools to start an edible garden and just do the basics, sort of just consult with, you know, perhaps where they could put their bed, and just chatting with and supporting and encourage schools to get started, and then running a couple of workshops with adults. But Emma, what you said about working with children sort of resonated with me in terms of my strength isn't working with adults, but I would like to, you know, delve into that a little bit more, I think, in the future. And yeah, so that job in Dubai unfortunately finished, and then I ended up sort of just through word of mouth, ended up taking a position at a preschool, teaching a garden to plate program. And so that was just really a melding of just the experience that I'd had working in my own garden, because I've always loved veggie growing and, you know, natural growing. And yeah, so I ended up then, as I said, you know, doing the garden to plate program there, but it was also cooking as well, which kind of brought in my love of cooking, but I had never done that kind of position before. And then, yeah, although in Australia I was sort of involved, worked at a school that was a part of the Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden program. And whilst I wasn't, my year level wasn't directly involved in that, I did have a number of roles, you know, or I could be involved in a number of other ways. Unfortunately, COVID sort of hit and the nursery position finished. That happened for a couple of years, and that was just wonderful. It was incredible to see children that had never put their hands in dirt. And, you know, we actually had one of the little actual princess from the royal family there. She was 2. And she would come in her designer gear and dig in the dirt, and just it was so wonderful to see her getting her little designer shoes dirty and playing in the compost and chasing after the chicken and that kind of thing. And so here, it's in the UAE, it's, you know, we're very often very disconnected from nature. There's really not a great deal of nature here in terms of wildness. And so it was really lovely to create that, I guess, at the nursery school when I was there. Now I'm also just starting to organise and just develop some workshops for a local community hub that's just literally a 3-minute walk from my house, which is just going to be amazing. It is in a community hub, but there's no garden. So that's going to be interesting to see how I'm going to be able to really inspire and support people to get growing in a closed room with no, you know, with windows that are covered. Yeah, so that will be for adults and children. So I'm really interested to see how I might be able to begin, you know, bring permaculture into that. Although I'm only just starting my design certificate, it's kind of been on pause for a little while I've been working on my workshop preparation. Yeah, so I'm just really interested in joining you all. You've all got an interest, obviously, working with children and how to teach the younger generation all of the amazing things that permaculture can. And there's nothing really specific that I'd like to learn about, but I'm just really interested in, you know, learning more about how I can incorporate it into, you know, my workshops, and also just other opportunities working with children.
Great, thank you so much. Thanks, Marie. Who was next? Michelle. I just want to be a bit conscious about the time, because there's something I'd like to present, and also there's more participants than I expected, which is really great to see, but I just want to let everybody have a chance to speak if they would like. So maybe if you just make sure to speak for maybe under 2 minutes or around a minute if possible. So Michelle, if you'd like to go next, and then Christian. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. Don't worry, under 2 minutes will be quick and easy for me. I haven't actually commenced the program yet. The reason being, I had done another little permaculture course earlier in the year. At the moment, I'm in the throes of writing and hopefully launching soon my own online course on self-reliant living, which obviously will incorporate quite a bit of permaculture. So I'm just trying to get that done first before I distract myself with more learning, which I love to do. And I'm based on the Gold Coast in Queensland. So I experience with working with children. I don't come from much of a kids background. I did do a few years working with a children's charity, which was more to do with sick and terminally ill children. My background's, I'm a nutritionist. My background's been in health, natural health for many years. I'm currently not working, and I'm homeschooling my daughter. And I think what I sort of was feeling was, as I was doing some of my earlier permaculture learning, I kept thinking to myself, wow, this content's so fantastic to teach kids. And I really, wanted to try and find ways to incorporate some of the permaculture philosophy and learnings into the content of homeschooling. And then I guess I came up with the idea that I really wanted to dive into this down the track. I've got projects stacking up. I've got to get this course launched first, then do my study with Morag. And then after that, I want to work on putting together homeschool learning packages for basically for parents to be able to deliver to their children. So that's my goal, but I am a little bit down the track with that. So I probably don't have a specific topic or anything yet because I'm not quite there, but that's where I'd like to head.
Great, thank you. Yep, Christian, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Christian. I'm based in Belgrave in Victoria, Australia. I'm a primary school teacher. I'm currently teaching sustainability and stewardship as a specialist subject in a school in the suburbs of Melbourne. It's going really well so far. I'm teaching grades 1 through to grade 6. I'm teaching 25 classes over 4 days, so it's pretty quick, fast 40-minute sessions, but we're doing all sorts of things from composting to learning about our food miles to ethics to, I don't know, a whole bunch of stuff. I've just started teaching the subject this year and it's been a bit of a whirlwind. I'm interested in this group because I feel like I could learn a lot from people here and I could offer a lot as well. I've also published a children's picture book before, so I'm interested in offering my skills, but also learning about what other people are doing around the world too. So I'm halfway through Morag's course. I've done a permaculture design course previously, but I really wanted to consolidate my learning and hopefully one day teach my own PDCs. So yeah, that's about it from me.
Thank you. Did you mention a children's book?
Yes, I've published a children's picture book. It didn't sell very well, to be honest. The publisher just gave me the remainder of the copies to give away. So, I don't really want to brag about that too much, but it was a fun experience at the time and inspired a lot of the kids that I was teaching to write as well. I kind of figured if I'm going to be teaching kids to write, then I should practice what I preach a bit.
Yes, that's wonderful. Great. Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to? I'm seeing that some people are introducing themselves through the chat. So thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to introduce themselves? well, maybe I'll continue for a little while and we can have a closing session as well, if people would like to introduce themselves then, and we can just have a conversation at the end as well. Okay, so whoops. Second. So yeah, just to go over the framework of this group, it's over 3 months, I think. And so every week I'll be introducing a theme, kind of, I can create the topic of the theme, but I'd also love to have us collaborate on what we'd like to learn more about and what we'd like to create together. And then the following week we'll have a discussion round with a guest speaker. And today my presentation is just to set the intention for this group and kind of suggest a direction, and then we can develop it as we see fit and see what people want to do with this. And then today as we go on, we can discover together what direction we want to go to, if we'll have if we'll continue as one big group, or if we'll have some offshoot groups creating different things. And there's clearly an interest in kind of curriculum development, I'm hearing, so that would be interesting. And then we can also discuss guest speakers. Marag and I kind of compiled a dream list of guest speakers, which would include Luby McNamara, who's been part of has done a video before, and also like a session, and also Alice Waters, which would be incredible. When I was at the school in Oregon, we created a cookbook with the children and a fundraiser feast for the garden. So that was inspired by Alice Waters. So that would be really incredible to have her come in. For those who don't know her, she's an American chef in California, and she turned a unused parking lot, like car park, into a really incredible edible school garden, and has like a kind of like a global impact on school gardens. It's really great. Okay, so after Marag and I had our first check-in session about this group, I kind of sat down and was thinking about, like, why are we doing this? Like, what are the reasons of why we want to be teaching permaculture to children? What do we hope to expose to them and invoke in them? And what do we want to have them leaving knowing? Like, what do we want to teach them? And what is the best way of engaging them? So I came up with 3 main reasons, kind of inspired by my experience and where I want to go and where I want to see outdoor education go. And also, I've tried to word it as broadly as possible. So my background is obviously in school gardens, so I've kind of taken that as a starting point. So the first point is to understand how our food grows and to have a relationship with all that sustains us. Food is such a point of connection for everybody. And I also think that children have it's just a really special experience for children to see where their food grows from, and like if they pull a carrot out of the ground that they grew, that's a really special experience for them. And also the 2 things that humans need to survive is food and shelter. And those are 2 things that we directly take from Mother Nature. And so I just think having an awareness around what sustains us, that Mother Nature gives us, is a really important starting point. Then also the second point would be to kind of bring a child's awareness to everything that is in nature, that's lending itself to our survival, and kind of bringing them closer to it. So I believe that if you are able to name something, then it builds up a relationship with that thing. And so understanding if you have that connection, then you're more likely to protect it. And having an understanding of the patterns and the intelligence of nature is a really beautiful and crucial thing to have. And it can engage in action and the protection. And then also this part where I wrote positively affect our environment. By that, I mean like direct practical permaculture principles and practices. And then the third point is to take responsibility for the health of our planet and to become environmental stewards for our future. So always have that future care in mind, to have a really great experience with nature in the moment, but also to kind of think ahead and to inspire hope and action, future action. This is just kind of repeating what I said, but making it in more child-friendly terms. So an awareness and a gratitude. What do I need to live and how does Mother Earth provide this? Identification and understanding. So being able to name plants and vegetables and trees. And when we build a connection to that and can name those things, we build a relationship to them. And then stewardship and action. What we love, we protect. So there's different ways of realizing this. Firstly, very practical hands-on experience to exposing children through the practical garden and cooking experience. And then also making permaculture practices and principles child-friendly and accessible. So the principles are hard to grasp even for an adult. So one goal that I really have is to make them child-friendly and child-appropriate, and kind of maybe even go away from making them specific to the garden, but making them specific to a relationship that a child might have with their pet, or a relationship they have with their friend, you know, kind of on a personal development level as well. And then the third is telling stories to offer hope, inspiration, and to evoke action, which would be just listing and like introducing them to activists and people who are creating change. You know, obviously Greta Thunberg, but also people like Jane Goodall. There's like loads of really beautiful books. There's the book called The Watcher, and then Seeds of Change about Wangari. How do we pronounce her name? Like the Green Belt movement.
Wangari Maathai, I think.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, just having stories of hope and also ways that children can get engaged. So having like sustainability as a path of meaningful work for them. Yeah, so hands-on experience, the direct teaching, and then resources with books and games and things. This is just a slide from a presentation I gave in Oregon, and it's kind of like the mantra of the garden that I had at the school. Basically, the garden gives us so many things, and what are ways that we can give the gifts back to the garden. So like a really deep lesson in reciprocity. And I really believe that that's kind of where a really great way of where we could be going, just a continuous loop of giving and taking. So practical examples of teaching would be the hands-on activities, so the cooking and the planting. And then there's games. There's a lot of nature, different types of games. You can go from sports games to nature-based games and all sorts of things, and we can create games together. Then music and art is, of course, a really great way to engage children. Unfortunately, I'm not very musically inclined, so it'd be great to have, if anybody is good at singing or playing the guitar, it'd be great to create some songs. Then project-based things, which is like bigger things. If you have the opportunity to like do a water harvesting project. And then case studies is like in Hungary, I did a case study around the principles, like created a scenario and then asked the children to pick permaculture principles to help them find a solution in that scenario. And then Joseph Cornell is the author of this book, which is a really important book in terms of outdoor nature education and connecting children to nature. And for me, it's like there's two avenues. There's the permaculture avenue, but then there's also the nature connection. And I think both are really important, and it's great to intertwine both. And then he has kind of like a framework where it's like he engages the senses of the children, then he finds ways to awaken the enthusiasm, and then he inspires their imagination, because children's imaginations are really beautiful and there's so much potential in that. And if people are interested in that, I could create another presentation on his pedagogy as well as the Montessori pedagogy. I'm doing the Montessori training right now, and the pedagogy is called Cosmic Education for 6 to 12-year-olds. And it kind of presents at its very core the interconnectedness of everything, and helps the child find its own potential in the universe, which sounds very intense, but it's just really understanding the vastness of the universe and also the vastness of the human potential and combining them. And yeah, what I think about Montessori is that like it really celebrates the human being. And unfortunately, we're kind of living in a culture where the human is seen as this terrible enemy. And I would kind of like to change that narrative a little bit. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. So yeah, if there's interest, I could create a presentation on those two pedagogies. And these are the three pedagogies that I bring in. I also try to bring a little bit of traditional ecological knowledge, of course. That's like the core of permaculture as well, like indigenous practices. And I have some resources there. So this is a collaborative space. You know, we're trying to create this together. This is just an offering of mine for those that would be interested in that. We can kind of create a poll or something. Yeah, so storytelling is a really important aspect of reaching children for me. And yeah, it's a really critical way to get their attention and interest, and it, of course, awakens their imagination. And I think the imagination is the most powerful one of the most powerful tools humans have. And yeah, the world and our interactions around the world and with each other is really all about the stories that we tell. And when I realized that, it really just changed things for me. Like everything we tell each other, everything that we touch and feel and things is like about the stories that we tell each other. And I watched this video that was posted a while ago in Hive, and I highly recommend this. It's really touching, and it's, you know, the mainstream capitalistic story that we're told is that we're just like machines that need to be working and creating profit, and puts that profit over people. And this story, this video here, kind of helps us tell a different story. And I think it's high time to be telling a different story. And I would like to suggest that this group kind of creates a different story to run along the curriculum. So yeah, so the story that I am kind of wanting to tell, and of course I would love all of your inputs, is the story of taking life and giving life, that piece of reciprocity. We're constantly taking life. Even if you're vegan, you're constantly taking life in some ways. And that's kind of like the paradox of the truth of being human, but also there's so many beautiful ways of giving life as well. And I think the ethics really help with that, so that, you know, if the earth is doing well, and then the people can do well, and vice versa. It's like if we take care of the planet, then we're automatically taking care of ourselves and then the future. And so I believe it's kind of like a concentric circle that starts with, like, from a child's perspective, me, us, and everybody, right? So from the local to the global. And yeah, just to create a story of more hope and more intention. And yeah, from self to community. Community is obviously a really big aspect. You know, mainstream society is always kind of plotting us against each other. Trying to keep this not like doom and gloom. Morag and I was talking about that. Like, I really don't want to teach the children how terrible everything is. Like, that's just going to kind of lead to paralysis almost, and fear. And I just don't want to evoke fear in children. That's not at all my intention. And I was talking to somebody yesterday. Her name's Suzanne. She's in Germany. She's like I met her through this course. And she has a 12-year-old daughter who goes to a Montessori school in Germany. And she's like, I really want my child to know about climate change, but I also really just want my child to be a child. And I think there's something really beautiful in that. Like, it's really important, I believe, for children to continue being children in their childhood. And that, yes, and I think the way to get children is to like create experiences in nature that they really cherish, and then they will that will automatically lead to a level of environmental stewardship when they grow up, rather than instilling fear at the beginning and panic and like, "Oh, there's no time left," you know, just my personal opinion. Yeah, exactly. And then it's just the Montessori teaching again, kind of bringing that in. Just two images here. Think global, act local. And then what I stand, well, I can't actually see it, but what I stand on, what I stand for is what I stand on. So that's just like ways to make it child friendly and applicable in their language. Oops. This was a quote that this is something I was really inspired, and I'm not really very like artsy person, but at the beginning of the course, this course that would, the Mari's course, there was a quote that was, this presentation is going to be available for everyone, by the way, so feel free to take notes as you please, but I just wanted to say that it's available for everybody. Yeah, so there was a quote by Joanna Macy, which was, "People acting in defense of life wake up to the grandeur of who they really are," which I found really touching. And I think it's really, yeah, this is for me the starting point of telling that new story. And I'm just going to read through what I wrote here. So we're all collectively suffering from a false blanket narrative that all human beings are greedy and destructive and have individually caused the planetary collapse that we're facing. This has led to a paralysis of powerlessness, hopelessness, and the inability to act. When in fact, we're all unprecedented miracles. The profound patterns in nature are also reflected within us. We contain the intellect and ability to recognize, understand, and emulate these patterns. An understanding of nature is innately in all of us. Traditional and indigenous cultures have cooperated with her for thousands of years. If we use our imaginations, our greatest asset, and now allow nature to guide us, we will flourish. With this knowing, we can adopt a much needed paradigm shift of our thoughts and actions and move from a solely mechanistic view to an animistic worldview and embrace the intuitive and holistic alive in all of us. Yeah, so obviously a lot there, but I just think this was inspired by also Stephen Harding's talk and trailer of Awake, which I'm super excited that video is going to be shown. But yeah, I just got a lot of inspiration at the beginning of the course, and I just wanted to share this, and yeah, just also share my intention with this group. Okay, so to go back into the practical, I see these as being the potential goals of the working group, also in regards to some of your responses on the survey. So first point, of course, is to spread the permaculture message. I feel like really time to spread it more and more, and also with the younger generations. Then also to incorporate permaculture into existing teaching. You know, a lot of you are teachers and mothers, and so bringing that in, bringing another interdisciplinary approach into it that you're teaching. Then to expand outreach and exposure of permaculture and things. And if anyone's up for it, I would love to create a permaculture curriculum. I've already created one, so I would love, that could be like the starting point. And then a big one here, but if we dream big, maybe this would be possible to kind of change school legislation and bring permaculture more into the school system. Yeah, okay. And then Earth Keepers, you know, the camps that I host, that can definitely be, it can be possible to have that reach out into different countries and schools. And I just want to make Earth Keepers Camp like an available platform and medium for this group and for all of us. Like, I really invite and encourage any of you to come join me, or to host, you know, to host a camp where you are. There's Suzanne, who I was talking to yesterday. She's going to help me. She's going to help me do 3 camps in Germany next summer. So that's super exciting. And yeah, we don't need to use this platform, but of course it's very much available, and I would love to see us collaborate on that. So I do summer programs, and yeah, like right now I'm creating it by myself, which is fine, but it's also, you know, it's also much nicer to co-collaborate on things like this. So right now it's running as summer programs and also like during Easter holidays, like kind of outside of school. But then I would love to see it kind of come into the school day. You know, we could go to schools like every now and then and things. Yeah. And then, oh, what's happening now? Okay, yeah, these are top specific permaculture teachings and topics that I personally have a need to explore further, and I would love to see you guys if you would like to add to this list. So what is permaculture? You know, that's such a personal way of describing permaculture, which I think is the beauty of it, but also it's just like sometimes it's really hard to express what permaculture is, especially to children. So just having a very clear definition, I think, would be a great starting point. Then why permaculture? You know, for us, it's obvious, but it's also helpful to have a very clear statement on that. The ethics, the more I teach, the better, the easier I find it to teach ethics, but it's also, you know, the Venn diagram, that's quite dense for children to understand. So maybe we could create a child-friendly Venn diagram. Then the principles, I've already spoken about that, like really, really important tool, but kind of hard to chew through sometimes. Soil health, super important, of course, in regards to carbon sequestration and climate change. And, you know, a lot of children don't like getting their hands dirty, but luckily a lot of children do. So we can work with that. And then water. I was living in Portugal last year, and the lack of water was really shocking. And so luckily I live in Austria, which is has a very wet climate. But I really think that water is something that yeah, water conservation and gratitude for water could be a lesson. And then I think somebody mentioned this earlier, kind of finding ways, maybe Joanna, finding ways to like make the planning, the permaculture planning, like the tools and the techniques to make them child friendly. You know, usually I just work with children in terms of like the practices and the principles of permaculture and then garden and appreciation for nature. But I would really like to see, particularly with older kids, like actually doing almost like a PDC with them. So like having a whole design site and stuff. So that could be another aspect. You know, I've worked with 3 to 12-year-olds, but this would be something I would aim for like 12, 14, 15, 16. So perhaps we could have like 2 working groups depending on, you know, like for 3-year-olds, it's going to be very different. It's going to be much more tactile and hands-on. And then 12, 14-year-olds, it's going to be, you know, case studies and things. So we could see what kind of groups we want to create. Yeah, and then just creating a working collaborative document. And then these are some of the responses from the participants. So these are a few of these things I can offer and teach on myself. So like food gardens and play space and the curriculum. But then maybe we can get guest speakers, or a few of you could work together on some other topics. Yeah, we'll just see what comes out of it. And then there's a organization, I think it is, called Children in Permaculture, and they already have a curriculum. So that could be a great starting point. I will make this slide available on a separate document, and also, you know, it'll be within the slideshow. And this is just the second slide of the curriculum. And yeah, then this is the permaculture curriculum that I created at the school. So the garden that I showed earlier was kind of like the practical example. And then I created lessons around that. So this is for like 6, 7, 8-year-olds to 12-year-olds. And it kind of follows this concentric circle model where it's like practical. Part 1 is like very practical examples that they can see in the garden, like the types of plants, the guilds, the soil, the compost. Then part 2 is like the theory of permaculture. So the zones, the ethics and the principles. And then part 3 is the wider circle where it's like local action and thinking globally and sustainability and responsibility and those things. So this is something we can definitely use as a backdrop, and I'm definitely willing to share that. And then this is, so the thing on the left was for about 7 to 12-year-olds, and this is from I gave a presentation in Oregon at a farm to school to garden network. And this thing on the left, on the right is a slideshow of like very practical hands-on things for preschool children. So that's also available to like, yeah. And this is just the last thing I'm going to show, which is the schedule of the Hungry Earthkeepers camp that I did in April as part of the assessment for this course. And again, this is available. I'm just giving you an introduction of what I have available and what we could use. Yeah, and then working documents is, we have a Google Drive Morag and I created, so it'll have like resource pages, one for books, one for games, one for curriculum, and then the slideshow will be on there. And then, yeah, it would be great to have a list of participants. I'll create like an Excel sheet of like their skills and their locations and interests and stuff. And yeah, oopsie, sorry. I think that's it. That's what I wanted to present today. So I'm gonna open the space for questions and comments, and yeah, just wondering how you guys are feeling and where you would like to take this. So yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Thanks.
And that was so fantastic, and so many questions and possibilities. And I really love the way that this is unfolding as a community practice, collaboratively documenting what we know, sharing what resources we have, what curriculum we have, what activities we can use. And so what can come out of this, is curriculum that we can pick up, activity sheets that we can pick up, resources that we can just pick up. And so I think this is a wonderful space. So all of the information will be in a drive and will be dropped into that guild in Hive. So that's the place to keep throwing things in. If you drop something in there, Andrew or I can sort of take it and also put it into the Google Drive, unless you're familiar with how to do that. So we'll hopefully collectively work with that. But if you're not, just drop it into Hive. You can add films and pictures and book links and anything into there, and we can keep sorting it together.
Esty, I think you raised your hand, so go ahead. Oh, thank you, Morag. Thanks.
Hi, yes, my name is Esty. I have to first apologize because I joined a bit late, so I missed part of the presentation, so sorry about that. I'm Spanish, but I've been living in Dublin for maybe over 20 years now in Ireland. At the moment, I'm in the process of working with children and art, so that would be kind of my background would be in art, and again, it's just something that I'm in the process of starting. Now in the course, I'm maybe still in unit 16, let's say in module 16, 17, just after the design plan. So thank you for all the information that you put. It's amazing. So all these curriculums and kind of already giving us kind of at starting point, because sometimes it's how to put it together. So thank you for sharing. That's very useful. So I definitely would like to take part, be part of this group, as if I can, obviously with the hours and the days, but and if I can contribute as well with anything, I would. So thanks a million. I think what you gave us today, it's amazing sharing. So thank you.
Thank you, Esty. Thank you. And the art piece is really great. I am terrible at drawing, so it would be great to have some artwork around the curriculum if we choose to create one. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay. I'm having trouble seeing who's raising their hand. Sorry. Oh, here we
Maria
Yeah.
first. Yep.
Thanks.
Hi again. I would like to thank you both for this opportunity. I think we already have a lot to think about. Thank you for this beautiful introduction. I really would like to sit with that idea of how not evoking fear in children. I think it's a very crucial moment for that, very important. Us and the children, we need something to believe in, because the mainstream narratives are usually very, very, very dark, and they don't leave a lot of space to imagination or creativity or cultivating the beauty. I think there are a few authors that I love that think about that a lot, and one is Charles Eisenstein, and just putting the name in there, he's fantastic, and the Dr. Zach Bush, also really amazing people that I think can help us reflect on all these subjects. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. My background is in dance. I was a dancer. So anything that is in relationship to the body and movement interests me, and I think there can be a lot done also there with children. So maybe this could be my contribution. Yeah, thank you very much.
I just got very excited when you said that about dance and movement, and thinking about ways to really embody permaculture and movement and activities.
Yeah,
how exciting!
Yeah, I just saw about that. I just saw a movie about how we grow up in our Western society, and how children grow up in Africa, for example, with their relationship to rhythm and movement, and it's incredible to see the wrongness in a way of our system education. So when I hear people that are working with Steiner or Montessori or whatever else, makes me happy and inspired. It's very strange to see and to observe where we lost that rhythm, and what consequences that has on how we build our lives. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Fleur?
Fleur's next.
Yeah.
I just was doing out a plan for creating gardens at the school, and it's really good to see yours, because I was sort of a little bit lost writing it out. My background is childcare as well, but I got out of childcare and moved overseas and volunteered and been doing everything else instead of childcare. But yeah, it was really good to see it, so I'll be able to sort of make it look a little bit better than what I did, creating it a bit more. And I love the idea of putting blindfolds and finding trees. I always make my children touch the trees. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to share the garden plan. I can also do a presentation on the garden plan and like show a map and show, the placement of things and the plant choices. Great, thank you. And then, yeah, the nature education piece is really all about the senses. So, we're very visual, and it's really great to take that sense away and kind of, use the other senses.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I was having a little giggle. Sorry, Joanna. My 9-year-old was getting really into doing this blindfold thing and doing a taste test of all different herbs and things. He was having such a brilliant time. He was so into it. And then my 14-year-old son came out and got him to try, you got it, yes, a chili. And that was it. It was all over. So don't let your 14-year-old play with your 9-year-olds. Oh, I'm so cranky at him.
That's really funny. Okay, anybody else? you'd like to say
Joanna
something?
had her hand up and I jumped in, sorry.
Oh, okay, I can't see
Oh,
that.
that's fine. I just wanted to say thanks, Morag and Ange, for getting this going. It sounds fantastic. Lots of beautiful ideas. And the dancing really clicked for me too. I've just recently done a couple of these kind of, what I call them, ecstatic dances. And I used to dance as a kid. And I think it's a wonderful way to connect with ideas and how you feel. And for kids too, I think it works beautifully. And certainly with my kids, we did a song with just the 3 ethics, just a very simple song that they often request it at bedtime, and then they think about the way I present the ideas, and it really goes in. So I think music and dance is beautiful for adults as well, not just for kids. The Children in Permaculture course run through, I forgot where the woman's from. Anyway, it's in Europe. I think it's Austrian. She encouraged us to use a lot of song at the beginning of every session. It was all online, but it still worked quite well. And I think that's a wonderful way. And even through Zoom, I think we can probably try that. It helps us get it through that barrier of feeling a bit uncomfortable singing. Just give it a go. Yep. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd really love to explore the music element of it. Like singing songs can be really great for children, and it's really a great way to memorize things. You know, like if we hear a song that we heard 15, 20 years ago, we will immediately remember the lyrics, and that's pretty cool. So it's a great way to teach children things, to help them remember it. Emma, I think. Thank you, Joanna.
I wanted to say thank you so much for putting all of that together. I can see there's so much work behind that, and you made it look really quite easy. But there's it got me really excited. There's a lot of things that I can probably share, so look out for resources coming if everybody wants those. In the Steiner School, we did a lot of things through art, music, song, poem, beautiful stories that that I would be able to kind of share some of those resources. And yeah, particularly there's a really beautiful story. It's called The Nature Weaver by Susan Perot. And it just really speaks to kind of like that imagination life that's within the child. And I guess children are such sensory beings, and they really love embodying all of those things, and adults too. It's surprising how many times I've been learning all of these things with a group of adults, and we're just like big children. So yeah, I'm excited for what can come out of this group. It sounds like there's lots of people that are really looking forward to working with children and learning about that and sharing, and yeah, that's really great. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that book, Nature Weaver. That sounds great. Great title. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so we're coming up to time now. I think for me the next question is kind of like, I mean, this is like the big question, but where to go from here, right? Like, how do we choose what we want to focus on? I don't know if that's something we want to discuss now in the last 10 minutes, or like if we kind of create a document or like a poll or something, or I have to think. And does anyone have any suggestions around that? I don't know. I guess maybe we just like let this settle and process what today has been, and then I'll have a look again at the survey questions and maybe send out another survey of like potential topics or like directions we can go in. You know, for me personally, of course, it's like the curriculum and the storytelling and the nature connection. So it can have like lots of different sections underneath those 3 main goals. Yeah, I don't know.
I've got a suggestion of, with things that we think of during the week, to drop them into that guild space, and 2 of those questions that you'd like to get feedback on. We can set that up as a question or a poll. So we could say, you know, which topic would we like to focus on, and we can put those and you vote on it. So just make sure you go in there and do that, and then we can kind of get a really good sense of it. Or we can start a list of who would you like to invite as a speaker, and we can put in a couple of suggestions and you can drop those in. So just keep an eye out, maybe turn on notifications for that guild or something, just so it becomes a present sort of thing that pops up for you. Because, you know, that's a really good space for us to kind of co-create in there. And yeah, if you come, any books, any references, anything that you think might be useful for that, just to copy it over there, an organization or an activity or any of those bits and pieces. But I think the question that Andrew's asking now, which I think is really good, it's sort of the directional, sort of the impulse, the intent of where you'd like to take this, like having heard what you've heard. You know, I'm getting a sense that there's so many multiple directions that we all want to go on simultaneously, but is there somewhere that kind of feels present mostly? And, you know, I think like Anne said earlier, maybe there's multiple threads. Like there's a group that's really wants to do curriculum. Sounds like the group that really wants to do sort of music and art and that side of things. And so maybe we have this whole, and we can, you know, within the guild too, we can create topics. So we can have, you know, permaculture with children and dance, permaculture with children curriculum, and we can actually do those and start to order and sort our conversations in that way too.
Yes, great. Thank you, Marek. You said that much more succinctly than I could have done. Thanks. Okay. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm super excited. This is really inspiring, and it's really incredible to hear it resonate with so many people, because this work is of course really important to me, and I'm just really excited to collaborate with people that care about it too. Great.
Thank you for hosting, Ange, and sharing all the things that you did, and you know, holding this energy and space here. And it's wonderful. I'm really excited by it too.
Great, thank you. Okay.
So when do we meet next is the question?
Yeah, good question. Yes, also, is the next session a guest session or a lesson session? The rhythm would be guest. The rhythm would be guest, but I don't know if that makes sense.
It could be guest, or it could be that, you know, someone also within this group can share materials, and it could be a collection of, you know, maybe, you know, just say, for example, I'm not dropping you in the hot seat, but just say, for example, Emma had 10 minutes and Marie had 10 minutes and Esty had 10 minutes, and we could, you know, hear different perspectives more deeply, you know, those who want to share and have experience of different programs, and then we could explore that. So guests could be from amongst our group as well as guests from outside, so we can mix that round as well.
Yeah,
just wondering,
that's a
for the
great
next meeting we might not have enough time to organize an external guest, but we could definitely organize to be our own, you know, provocateurs.
That's great. I love that. It's kind of like a show and tell, like what can you show and tell about yourself, and kind of like a spotlight or profile on the people in this group.
I'm starting to call them teach-ins. I really like the idea of the teach-in. Teaching us.
Yeah, I would say that can be the direction for next week. So if anybody feels inspired to speak, present, I'll write a blurb up, right? I'll do a summary of today and then a blurb of next week, intention for next week. Okay.
Fantastic. Well, lovely to see everyone here. I'm so excited this has started.
Me too.
So I'll get one of the Perma youth to edit and drop the video back in for us. I have the chili wielding 14-year-old is super keen on editing video, so he'll be our backup editor.
Great. Thank you. Okay.
Kristen, yeah.
I really like that your last name is Van der Kinderen. Very
yes, it suits a teacher for sure. I was just going to say, Morag, the Perma Youth group might have some good ideas from a child's perspective from what sort of stuff that they want out of permaculture as well. They might have a good idea about what kids like to learn about and what's important to them.
We could definitely invite them as one of our special guests sometime. Share what they like, and yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
Thank you all again for being here, and I wish you all a great evening or day.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.